Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So, yesterday, I think I got the upper left looking pretty good. Overall, pretty happy with how all of this is looking here, so I'm just going to get started on the upper right now. Gonna go hide all of the shadows, just because I find them a little bit distracting while I'm in the process of getting everything into place. Alright, so first things first. I like to always deal with kind of the front bang and kind of this area right over here, right off the bat. And I can already see with how this is moving a little bit that I think this little piece here is perhaps a little bit too far to the right. Because like her chin is kind of making her head tilt back a little bit, or at least that's how I'm perceiving it. So I think that is the first thing I'm going to do, and then I'll probably jump right into front bang tips. Stuff that I always like to do early on that's perhaps a little bit time consuming. Alright, so let's slide this over here just a little bit. Doesn't need to go too far, I don't think. And I'll worry about shaping the rest. Oh, that might actually be a little bit too far. Wow, I felt like I barely moved it at all, but yeah, that's a little bit too far. Maybe it's not in a bad spot then. I don't know, I still felt like it was a little bit off. Let's take a closer look here. Okay. So I guess first pass today is where I take a look at everything and do some of the bigger movements around. And then I'll start getting to the smaller things. Like bang tips, so actually, maybe today won't be a bang tip day. Who knows? I remember looking at this yesterday, and I thought that everything already looked roughly in place. So, I guess we'll see. We'll see what I feel like doing. Can already see a lot of squirming around the front and bang right on this side of it, so I can already see I've got some stuff to fix there. But I would like to get the angle of all of this kind of the way I want before I do too much. Just because I do feel like that little area right there, just that tiny little spot dictates so much. It is, well, the very beginning of the part of her hair, where the roots are, and where everything starts connecting into her skull. So I suppose it makes sense. Okay, that's a little bit better. Yeah, that should look pretty okay once I clean it up. Alright, so let's take a very close look around here and make sure that, indeed, things are the way I want them. Also, I gotta say, my eyes are bothering me a little bit today. Not the eyes themselves, but my kids hit me in the face pretty hard yesterday, and I think it bent my glasses a little bit. So they're not sitting on my face quite right. And it's still feeling a little weird, and I have kind of long eyelashes, so sometimes they're brushing up against one of the lenses, and it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Well, just a little bit. Okay. So yeah, I don't think things are looking too bad here. I see some stuff on the top of the front bang here. So indeed, it looks like the interpolation did a lot of the big picture stuff for me already. Because I don't feel like I have a lot to fix. Not much at all. Feels good. Yeah, that wasn't quite right. That's okay. I'll just keep pushing that around and oh my, okay. I was thinking about just doing it with my hands, but then I just look at the sheer number of vertices in this area and I'm like, I don't want to touch all of those. Let's just do it like this. Keep things simple. For a second there, for some reason I thought today was Wednesday. And I was like, wait, when did that happen? But no, it's Tuesday. I must have just checked the date before midnight. And that tends to throw off my sense of time a little bit. Happens a lot. That's why I say, my current sleep schedule, where I get up at like 11 o'clock every day, works very well for me right now, but I don't think I'd recommend it. I constantly forget what day of the week it is. It probably doesn't help that I don't do a lot of different things on specific days and that kind of thing. And pretty much every day is roughly the same. But, I imagine when I get up probably doesn't help either. I'm sure when I put it like that, it makes my life sound kind of boring, but if I'm being honest, I kind of like it this way. Just being able to do basically what I want every day, and that's why things don't change very much, because I'm just doing what I want. And what I want doesn't change very much day to day, so. And I also have kids, which means that I'm going to be spending most days with them, at least until they start school. But it's a good time. Also kind of reminds me of when I was working, like had a real job. I lost my job during COVID. Haven't gotten another one. I just decided to take some time off to raise children. And, you know, there I was hyper aware of what day of the week it was. Because I would always look forward to the weekend. But here, it's like, I probably work for the same number of hours overall, but I do it 7 days a week instead of 5. So I am effectively working every day. I'm just not making money at the moment. When I say working, I more mean, I spend a bunch of time drawing every morning. I, of course, do my stream every day. Spend a bunch of time writing every day. And all of these other things that I just want to be doing. But there are people that do such things professionally, which is why I still choose to call it work. Hello there, Edgy Kitty. How are you doing today? I am still going in and rigging hair. Because she has a lot of hair. Okay, let's see here. Trying to get these highlights on the front bang lining up with the upper turn and the right turn here. Right now it looks like they're a little bit high on the upper right. So I'll just go ahead and bring them down. My hair is very long too, but I don't do anything special with it. I just let it do its thing. And it's been fine. It's like my hair is roughly knee length. So, yes, very, very long. I have anime hair in real life. Hello, Vivi. Yeah, it's nice to see you again. accidentally staying up all night is certainly a way for that to happen. But I hope you're able to get some sleep soon. Still just going through and doing hair. I think I am finally almost finished with the head turns. And that'll be... I swear, that's still gonna feel so weird. I'm not gonna know what to do with myself, since I've been working on the head turns for so long. But it's like they're getting close to done, and then I guess I'll have to go do something else. Although I won't be free from hair immediately, because I'm going to be doing hair physics afterwards. And I have been looking forward to that for months. Yeah, nothing wrong with using baby shampoo. That's, especially if you're prone to getting soap in your eyes. Getting soap in your eyes isn't fun. So yeah, I guess doing some smaller details, but still kind of just getting everything into place is working out pretty well here. And then I'll go through and clean it all. So that this way, hopefully, once I finish this step, everything will just kind of be where I want it to be. And that'll be nice. It is kind of nice just not having to worry about whether or not things are clean while I'm still just moving them around and testing things out. As long as I can properly see what I'm doing. And moving things around with the brush is just always so much easier than moving them around vertex by vertex, so I do feel like I get through this part a little bit faster when I just focus on doing the sketch rather than trying to get everything right immediately. That's one of those things where I feel like I have learned patience. I think I can trust my process just a little bit more now. I can believe. I've done things enough that I have started to believe. It's always nice too, because I remember when I started drawing for the first time, that I would always get very frustrated with how bad things looked at the beginning, and never really had a good grasp of when I should start over versus when I should keep working on it. Because sometimes I certainly did get very frustrated and just did not continue pictures that I probably should have. Sometimes you really do gotta trust the process. Even if you have no process. It's like you do have a process, you just don't know what it is consciously. I remember for a while I didn't think that I had a process when drawing, but eventually I figured out that yes I do. I just needed to actually figure out what it was, but after a while patterns started forming. And once I understood and started to get a better understanding of how I even think about it, I was able to make changes and find a slightly better process, and that was pretty cool. like recently, I found that trying to do like cool dramatic lighting and basic shading at the same time, I always found it a little bit overwhelming, so I found a good way within Krita where I could just how I say, draw normally and then add lighting later, just due to how its group layers work. Oh no. Yeah, the power going out is generally a good sign to get off the computer. So, I'll see you later then, Vivi. Thank you for stopping by. It was nice to see you again. I hope you're able to sleep. Oh yeah, I found a good way where I could shade normally, and just due to the nature of how Krita's layers work and how their clipping masks work, I could very easily add lighting elsewhere. Or exactly where I wanted, just at the end. And that was pretty nice. I think it's sped up what I can do considerably, because now I don't have to worry about it all at the same time. And I don't have to just believe and add it all at the end. I can get a general idea of what I'm going for at the beginning and then hide those layers. And draw normally until I'm ready to make the lighting more dramatic. I've been enjoying that. Alright, I think I've almost got the shape of this front bang figured out. And of course, much like on the other side, I'm going all the way up and down, just to make sure that everything looks good together. And I'm thinking that this actually has to come over here just a little bit more. I think it's draping over the tunnel just a little bit too strongly. So I'm probably gonna have to fix lots of things. That's okay. That happened with the last corner too. And it was definitely for the best. I think that the left side, looking pretty good now. Like maybe right here is floofing a little bit too hard, but I'll worry about that later. We shall see. But I definitely like how everything is turning out. I think it's all turning out very nicely. Now that I look here, it looks like the curl on this front bang here is defying gravity. And as much as I think that little curl is cute, I don't actually think it looks very good like that, so we're gonna let it fall down like it should. Line that up just a little bit better there. Okay, yeah, there's lots of little things that are just a little bit off in how this is curling. So, I guess I'll be taking a moment to fix all that, so that this way it'll be... Hopefully the interpolation will get it right on the upper right corner for me. I might have to fix some things in the upper left because of that, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I think I'm actually going to consult the mesh on this. I think that'll make my life a little bit easier than just trying to feel my way through. Yeah, definitely. Okay, okay. Am I ready for mesh consultation yet? Because I'm not just cleaning up the mesh here. There are actually a couple of places that I think need to be moved around a little bit too strongly for the mesh to help me out here. Like, this movement I think is probably appropriate for mesh consultation. The way I differentiate between them, let's see, how would I describe it? Mesh, when I want to go consult the mesh, it's typically for small details that I can see that something is wrong, but I'm having trouble identifying what the problem is. And then occasionally I notice that there's like line art or tiny little bits of highlights or shadows sliding around a little bit. And consulting the mesh lets me space the vertices a little bit more evenly. So it's useful for that as well. Whereas when I'm moving things around rather strongly, I think it's easier just to use my eyeballs. Just go in there with the brush and get all that looking a little bit better. So that's why I figure first, okay. First, I just go in and try to get everything a little bit closer to how I want it. And then after that, I can worry about consulting the mesh and getting all the exact little highlights and curves and that kind of thing where I want it. And yeah, I think we're at that point now. So let's go ahead and clean this up. We'll start at the top. I like starting at the top. Sometimes there's a reason. In this case, there is not. I just want to. Gotta start somewhere. Honestly, this is reminding me of my current approach to attempting to write my comic. So I've said before, I am attempting to write a comic, and I've been working very diligently on it. I've been having a great time. But I've never written a story by myself before. In every time that I've written anything, it's largely been focused around role-playing. So typically I write stories with other people. So this is the first time I've really done everything start to finish myself. All the characters are mine, and I have to figure out all the plot points, the world is mine, yada yada. And the process is much different. Because like, the way I approach role-playing is very, I don't know what's gonna happen, let's just go. You just kind of make it up as you go. So, I mean, you're writing with other people. There's only so much you can do to plan out the entire thing. Whereas here, because I have control over everything that happens, well, I need to make decisions over everything that happens. And that's hard. I need to decide where the plot's going myself. And I don't actually think I'm the type of person that improvises. When it comes to writing stories, I kind of like to know where I'm going when I'm writing on my own. Because I've tried just writing scenes, and I always get very lost. And so I have found that so far what is working for me is I'm just saying, like, okay, I have enough decided that I can kind of start deciding on specific details and really start pushing the story in whatever direction that I want it to go. So I'm just starting to write down what I do know, and starting from there. Sometimes it's scenes, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm just writing overall sketches. Like, right now, for example, it's going to involve... It's a fantasy setting, and there's going to be some, like, not super video gamey dungeon crawling aspects to it, because I think those are cool. So I'm thinking about why they exist, and what it should say about the people that made them and that kind of thing. And it's making it much easier for me to kind of decide what they should look like and what the character should experience when they're inside of it. So even though there's still a lot of things that I don't know and don't understand, I'm just drilling down into what I do know, and I'm just really hoping that eventually, once I know enough things, everything else will just kind of come together. Or at the very least, I'll have more information to figure out the parts that I'm finding a little bit more difficult. Probably a little bit of both. Unfortunately, a lot of writing advice that I have been able to find on the internet is the art advice of... Let me find that one meme. They'll post it in chat real quick. Yes, here we are. This meme about drawing the rest of the owl. This is how I feel about a lot of writing advice on the internet. It's just draw 2 circles, draw the rest of the owl. With nothing in between, because everybody says everybody has their own methods, and this is just profoundly unhelpful. So I'm trying to actually drill down into what my personal process is like, or at least think a little bit more critically about what I'm actually doing, as opposed to just, I don't know. I think about that with my art too, because for the longest time, it really was just, I don't know. And I don't actually think that's a good thing. I really don't. I think it's good to be aware of what you're doing. Because once you kind of understand yourself and your process a little bit better, then you can improve it. I always describe my drawing process as extremely chaotic, and I think it'll be that way for a while. I think, to an extent, it is just always going to be super, super chaotic. But there is still a method behind it. And a lot of what I do in my speed paints is me trying to figure out that method and how to speed it up. And I'll find it. I believe in myself. Probably won't be able to help with writing for very much for a long time, though. Like, I don't... The thing with the process is that it implies that you've done it more than once. So, I mean, I've drawn lots and lots of pictures, so I have a pretty good idea of what I do, but when I have written exactly 0 stories, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying things. So me rambling about writing is definitely less meant to be advice column stuff and more just, well, this is what I'm trying now. I'm trying to understand what I'm doing. And sometimes talking about it is a good way to do that. Just turn those thoughts into words. But I mean, at least in my head, focusing on what I do know, and trying to fill in some of the gaps of what I feel like is stopping me from being able to write everything from beginning to end. I think that sounds like a good way to approach things. Because it's easy to say, it's like... okay, why can't I write the story? I don't know. Yeah, that's not gonna get me very far. It's really not. So I gotta figure out what's stopping me from writing the story. And in this case, a lot of it is... I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to happen. I have maybe 3 super key moments that I'm very excited for. And so I'm trying to figure out what makes those points cool and how to make them happen. And what makes sense. Honestly, reminds me of kind of an interesting story of ways to approach problems. Because there was a small group of researchers sent to this one remote village, I think it was out in Cambodia, trying to figure out why so many of the children in that area were malnourished. And if there was a way that they could fix it, so that this way, the children in that area would grow up better. And so they went there, and indeed, there were a lot of kind of malnourished children. But there were some that weren't. And rather than approach the problem by studying the malnourished children, what actually ended up helping them find the answer was studying the ones that were not malnourished. And what they found is that the parents of the ones that were not malnourished were a little bit more proactive and resourceful. And so while they were out there harvesting food, they'd also pick up like various edible weeds or snails or just various other little things that they could find while they were out doing their thing. And then they would feed their children that, and that's why their kids were doing better. And so I just thought that was interesting. Just approach the problem from a different angle, with information that you do know. Because, it's easy to approach problems from, okay, we know that this bad thing is happening, why? But we know that it's not necessarily happening everywhere, so why is that? So there are multiple ways to look at things. And sometimes to find an answer, you just gotta take in all the information that you do know and be curious and ask yourself, how do I know this? And what am I taking for granted? Perhaps in art it's a little bit different than it is in that kind of research and that kind of thing. But I think you can still approach art a little bit more controlled and scientifically. If you couldn't, we would not be able to teach people how to draw. But we can. There are entire art schools. There are principles that can be learned. Study is not a substitute for doing it yourself, but it can help. It's like, if that was true, there would be no art YouTube. Or either that or art YouTube would literally just be people painting on their own and there would be no tutorials. But 5 minutes on YouTube and you'll see that's very much not the case. So I do think that it can be approached critically, and that there's no reason to turn off your brain. This is where I say, always stay curious, and always think about what you're doing. You'll find insights. Man, this actually reminds me that in the early days of my drawings, back when I was still attempting to do a bunch of semi-realistic stuff, I looked at some people doing cell shading, and just how neat and orderly their drawings were. And I was like, man, I'll never be able to do that. And, well, just look at me now. My style is much more cell-shaded now. And very neat and clean. Certainly not while I'm drawing it, not at all. I'm very messy while I'm drawing. But I just clean it all up at the end, and it's fine. Man. The strand is long, isn't it? I'm actually wondering how much of this is necessary, but I'm still trying to get the vertices spread out like they are on the original. Okay, let's see if that's good now. Or if there's still a bunch of sliding. Yep, that's pretty good. Now there's a bunch of sliding here that I'm gonna have to fix. That's okay, it's for the best. This looks so much better. Well, there's still a little thing right here though, so let's take a quick look there. Really make sure that this is exactly how I want it to be before I move on. Because I feel like this little spot right here should be very, very slightly to the right. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Now I just kind of want to clean things up a little bit, and hopefully that'll be an extra good strand now. That was far more of an adventure than I thought it was going to be. But here we are. I think it looks much better than it did before. Do I have this not unset? Hair, bang, front strand. Hair, bang, front strand. Okay. So no, there's just some shenanigans I'm going to have to fix up. But that is fine. I'm We're just gonna go ahead and check all my angles and make sure that it's all good. I actually think I could use a little bit of tweaking over here too. I just saw a little bit of shading. Or a little bit of shifting. I see a lot of shading. There's a lot of shading on this hair. Less and less shifting every day, which is nice. It's very nice. Yeah, and I definitely see the curl getting a little bit distorted. So let's see here. Where should that little curl be? I think I can actually... Yeah, I see what I was doing. I was trying to keep it about the same distance from this shadow as it is in the original, but I think it actually makes more sense for it to kind of cover it up a little bit, actually, even. Just due to how the head is turning. And I think I was making this part of the strand a little bit stiff because of that. So let's go ahead and make the strand floofy again. Make everything look nice. Today, I guess I'm going into extreme detail and hyperfixating on a small area again. That's fine. Alright, so here I'm just trying to get the curve itself lined up a little bit there. Make the curve smoother. Because I still feel like, yeah, like right through here, it's still just moving a bit weird. Don't want any little bits of hair sticking out there. Or for there to be pointy bits. We do not need lethal weapons in the hair. Lethal weapons can be elsewhere. I think a Shorel is probably enough. But yeah, I do think that this looks much better, so I guess I'm gonna have to line up the lower right too. But that is fine. Honestly, it actually feels pretty good to be in a stage where everything looks good enough that I just see all these small little things that I want to change just a little bit, make them look a little bit better. Focus on making things look a little bit more 3D, a little bit more smooth. I'm never sure how exciting it is to watch, but at least for me, it's actually more interesting than doing the big stuff and just getting everything into place. Because these little tweaks, I think, is just really what brings out the personality and everything in this. and just makes everything look so much better. Just one of those weird things. It's like you'd think that all the stuff at the beginning, where moving things around a lot and everything is just starting to move, would be where everything is most exciting, but I actually kind of enjoy this part. I remember when I was making my personal model here that I really had to stop myself from just spending forever on it, because I knew that if I allowed myself to, I would probably just never finish it. I'd just tweak it forever. But at some point, it was just time to move on to something else, and of course, time to actually start streaming. I was very, very nervous at first. I kept telling myself, okay, we'll just make some more things and it'll be better. But after a while, I realized that that degree of perfectionism was... and trying to predict the future and what I might need for streaming was actually proving to be a way to procrastinate on getting started. So I said, nope. We're starting on this day, whether you have the stuff ready or not. And I did. I started on May 1st, just like I told myself I would. Even though my brain was screaming pretty hard that day. That's why I still barely remember the first stream. Maybe someday I should go and rewatch the VOD, but I was just so nervous. Just felt like I was gonna throw up the entire time. Sometimes you just gotta go. Can't wait for your brain to be okay with it. It's gotta say, nope. We're jumping the cold water now. Better get used to the temperature. Or we're gonna be real cold. That was always my approach to going swimming. Man, I never realized how, wrong I had the bang strand here. Today is a day of tiny bang strand. Let's go. Okay, yeah, that looks much better. It's amazing how these tiny little things can make such a big difference. Probably gonna have to consult the mesh to get this looking a little bit better. Just because I feel like there's a lot of minor highlight shifts and stuff. I'm just trying to really get it into place first. But I think this location is it good? Maybe a little bit high up there. Let's lower that back down just a little bit. There should be a particular angle that I want on this, and I don't quite know what it is yet. So I'm exploring. This is how exploring in art works. You don't move from place to place, you just flail and try things until things look the way that you want them to. I've been drawing a picture of Levin off stream, and I'm doing a little bit of science there too, a little bit of art exploring, trying some things out. So I'm not quite sure what the final result is going to look like, and it's kind of exciting. Of just being able to go through and be kind of curious about how it's all going to turn out at the end. This makes me a little bit more motivated to work on it. Okay, yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I think it's looking much better than it was before. I think I can be satisfied with that. Alright, let's go consult the mesh and actually fix all the little highlights and stuff. Once again, I'm gonna start at the top because I can. This is one where I could pretty easily start anywhere, but here is fine. And I'll just gradually work my way down. Yeah, and I can see all the shifting happening on all the triangles down there. The ones near the top aren't looking too bad, though, so that's nice. I always find the ones near the top a little bit harder to move than the ones a little bit further down, as they got that little curl to contend with. Whereas down here, it's a much more subtle curl. Okay. As always, just focusing on the spacing here, and it's always a little bit time consuming. But I do think it gets the highlights looking a little bit better here. So, let's get those highlights looking nice. Yeah, and I can see the ones down here are spreading out a little bit too much, so they want to be a little bit closer to their counterparts here. Alright, here we are. It's all getting there. And yeah, I didn't notice too much shifting down near the bottom, so I think that's good. Let's go take a look at it and see if everything is the way that I want it to be here. Pretty close. I just see one little crunchy bit right here. But that should be pretty easy to fix. And there we go. I think that looks much better. I guess I might as well check the downward turn here while we're at it. We'll just make today fixing this one little strand day. And indeed, over here is a little bit off too. I was not nearly particular enough about this strand. Yeah, this is shifting over here, shifting over here. Well, let's fix that up here. Let's go ahead and fix this up too. And I think once I have that, we'll see if I want to do the corners. If I want to check the corners that I've done. And if I do. And if I don't, that it might be the last thing I do for today. So, corners will be either today or tomorrow. We shall see how I feel and how hungry I am. I've been using my brain a lot lately, so I've been a little bit hungrier than usual. think I actually have this little guy in just a slightly wrong spot here. There we go. That should help too. All of these little things are connected after all. Still a little bit off, like there's a slight discoloration right here, right next to the strand there, and that's what I'm seeing squirm. Maybe it's a weird thing to fixate on, but I keep seeing it, it's bothering me. So I just want to get that into the right spot. Oh yeah, that's so much better. So much better. Okay. Back to what I was doing. I say that, but nope. See, another small problem. It's okay, eventually I've run out of problems to fix in theory. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, back to what I was doing before. Let's go fix up that strand. Let me see. Are there any other problems? It's like there's this spot right here, but is there anything else before then? I think the rest is looking okay. The tip looks fine. So, yeah, I guess it's just a little bit on how it was curving, and then some spots that was not even on that strand itself. So there we go. Getting that to curl nicely should make it look a little bit better. And then a little bit too much curve right at the bottom here. I think small enough area that I even need a smaller brush. Just right through here. And then some of this I think is going to be fixed through more mesh consultations. This is why I said that here might be the last thing that I do today, rather than going through and fixing the corners. Am I adjusting it too much? Because I think I swear I just made it too flat again. No, that's fine. It looks fine. Okay. It's kind of a weird little strand in that it actually does get kind of straight near the bottom here. as opposed to just being a, like, pure circle. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let us consult the mesh and fix all the highlights and whatnot. We're going in. Going into those details. Alright. Like I said, I always find this top part a little bit more difficult to manage, just because there are more little curves here and there. And I gotta worry about that little curve at the top, and how it all turns. And it makes things a little bit more complicated. Nothing I can't handle, but at the same time, it is still a little bit harder. Alright, and at this point it's just, I want to get the vertices a little bit more evenly spaced, or at least more consistently spaced to how they are in the original mesh, so that this way things don't slide around quite as much. But honestly, they're really not that far off here. Yeah, I see a few that are a little bit off, a little further down. Not surprising, I used the brush on here quite a lot. But otherwise, I think things are looking pretty okay. This is where I get to decide how hungry I am. Or if I want to check the corners real quick. Oh man, that really does look so much better though, look at that. Okay, let's go ahead and check a couple of corners. Okay, before we do that, I think I want to adjust the right turn just a little bit more. I don't have this cut properly to really make the 3D effect pop, but I think I can tilt this downward just a little bit more there. Like, if I really wanted to make this 3D, I should have separated this part from the rest of the strand. So that this way I could have the strand cover more of this part. But I did not. I don't feel like going back and recutting everything. So we're just gonna make do with what I've got. Oh yeah, that's gonna look really good once I actually get it cleaned up, though. I like this. I like it a lot. So let's get that cleaned up. Make everything just look great. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. And I can see that I am going to have some stuff in the corners to fix. Quite a lot. Am I prepared for this? Am I? I don't think so. I think I'm too hungry for this, so we'll do some strands tomorrow, and then I'll go back to actually working on the upper right turn. Look. Someday we'll finish all the hair. And I'll be able to go back and do all the things that I think are just a little bit off in her face. But I just want to finish hair right now. Like, yeah, it's when I look here and go up, something is really off in her eyes. So I really need to figure that out and fix it all and all that good stuff. But right now, hair. And I guess right now, this weird little strand on her front bank. So I guess that's what I'll do tomorrow. Go finish that in the corners. But for today, I think this is where I will stop. So thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I'll see you all tomorrow.